wood? Are we getting close to the end days? Is this just another conspiracy? Is this all swamp gas? Are these Chinese lanterns? Are these ducks? I don't know. You guys be the judge on that, but we've got Bob here with us again. He gets photographs from all over the world on people that are watching the skies constantly. And here at the Leak Project, folks, we like to get different opinions on things. As you know, we had a couple of episodes recently where the guests came out and attempted to debunk Nibiru. So we're an open platform. If you guys feel that you have some cutting edge information on the subject, whether it's going to prove its existence or not, would love to hear about it. The stuff Bob is bringing to the table today, I feel has some pretty compelling evidence. So Bob, thanks a lot for joining us. How are you doing?
Doing okay, Rex. It's kind of cool down here in Pacifica, but it's all right.
You got hit with some pretty heavy wind and rain last night, didn't you?
No rain last night. We were hit by almost 50-mile-an-hour winds. We haven't had something like this since last December when we were hit by 75-mile-an-hour winds. SFO had 58-mile-an-hour winds most of the night.
That's pretty intense.
It is.
And obviously a lot of people speculate that some of these earth changes could be because of Planet X or some of the moons that's coming with it or whatever because of the gravitational pull. So that's a possibility. It also could just be natural and normal and other reasons. But let's get into these pictures here. The first photograph, and folks, we're going to try and condense this because I've been reading your comments and I know that you guys really appreciate a lot of times what we bring to the table. However, you've asked me before if we can condense it down a little bit quicker, so we're going to try and do that here today. We're going to focus more on the pictures, and we've got probably about 40 different photographs that Bob has been able to bring to the table. And also, we want to thank Sharon and others that go out and take these pictures and send them to Bob. So this is some great information, some good photographs. This first one we're looking at, what day and where's this at, Bob?
Okay, this is on April 20th. Sharon Havrick is back in Illinois, and she took this photograph, this striped moon. That's what I'm calling it. This is one of Nibiru's moons. It was first seen on April 10th in Antarctica in black and white. Sharon was the first person to catch it in the skies over the U.S. on April 29th in color. This thing is being seen next to our sun, and it is huge. As we talked last time, we know there are 8 moons being seen by all the northern observatories. They're being seen in our skies. The problem with this is that Nibiru has 13 moons around it. Here's another one from Sharon showing a greenish-looking one and a bluish-looking one. These things are being seen on the ground by people from all around the planet now. The Earth is orbiting right towards them now because Nibiru swings through our system clockwise. We're orbiting counterclockwise right towards them. So they're getting larger and larger in our skies. Are they affecting the Earth's crust? I think so, because we've had a huge uptick in volcanic activity and earthquake activity within the last month. We also had a possible tsunami that was heading towards the East Coast the other day on the 23rd. It stopped just before it hit the shores. For some reason, a couple of the buoys, anti-tsunami buoys, felt a dip in the ocean there where they went down 180 feet. Now, this was not being covered here in the United States. It was being covered in other countries, like Italy. That's where most of the articles were being sent out of. So this is the stuff I'm finding from all my friends. The next one down, the nice blue one, that was caught in the skies by Sharon, and it's very clear. It's kind of bluish green, so I'm not really sure which one it is. These are all weird moons in our skies. They're not our moons. I've actually been able to catch at least 6, almost 7 of these things from everyone around the planet sending in stuff. Now, the next one down, 420, that one here, I gave this one to Rex today for the first time. My friends over in Europe, over in Italy, and over in the Middle East have been seeing this huge sun-like thing just before sunrise. See, Nemesis was imaged by NASA back in 2007. Nemesis is a brown dwarf star that orbits around our solar system. It has 7 planets. One is a dwarf planet, which is called Sedna. That's actually being seen in almost everyone's astronomy type programs. YouTube had a video from 2015 called Nemesis, Our Sun's Evil Twin. And the doctor that was on there, real nice guy, he said that the Earth has experienced mass extinctions every 26 million years, I think it was. And that would be Nemesis coming in very close. I have a bad feeling that my friends were correct, that this huge sun on the horizon is the brown dwarf star coming very close to our solar system, which could cause a great deal of problems, far worse than Nibiru and its 13 moons will ever do.
So Nibiru and Nemesis are completely different.
Yes. Leaked information from NASA in 2009 showed the 6 inner planets. NASA imaged Nibiru itself in 2008. The Vatican leaked a lot of photographs, which are not on your thing here today, showing Nibiru itself. We had sent a very secret spacecraft in the 1990s to go all the way out to Nibiru, well past Pluto, because it was coming in then. It was an Israeli Vatican U.S. space probe called SILO, SILOE. It actually went out to Nibiru, orbited Nibiru, videotaped it, came all the way back, supposedly in less than a month, and the Vatican leaked all the photographs to it. So we're hiding these moons in our skies sometimes, as you're seeing right now.
I got to jump in real quick, Bob, because remember the name they gave this telescope, the Vatican, they call it Lucifer, and I think it's funny to...
That's in Arizona.
Okay, I think it's funny to think that whatever your opinion is on the name Lucifer, some people come up with different excuses as to why they did choose that specific name for the telescope. I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me, but I'm as neutral as I can be on the subject of Planet X and the return of Nibiru, etc. And I was talking to my friend Gerald Clark. He's a regular on the show, and he's probably the best when it comes to breaking down the names of these ancient gods and putting a reference point to the Anunnaki. I mean, he's probably the best in the world, just the information that he puts to the table and how much knowledge and research he's done. And when I was telling him my opinion about how I still am neutral on Planet X and the return of Nibiru, he said, well, Rex, why did the Vatican build a telescope and name it Lucifer? He goes, it's because Marduk, because he takes Lucifer and says Lucifer's Marduk. He's able to do the genealogy and reference points and such to come up with this conclusion. Right. But he says Marduk is returning. That's why they named this telescope Lucifer, thanking him, basically bowing down to their savior now.
Well, Marduk is one of the sons of Enki. At one time during history, if you believe all of what Zecharia Sitchin put out in the Lost Book of Enki and his other books, Marduk was supposed to have been in charge of the earth by the zoological signs, and his sign was coming up. But the Anunnaki living on Earth didn't want him to be in charge. Enlil Enlil's grandson and Enki's grandson went against Marduk and actually destroyed most of Marduk's supporters with 7 nuclear weapons that they brought from Nibiru accidentally or deliberately. And they released them over there. I think they went into India, where one part, I keep forgetting the name of the city, where they discovered it a while back, where the walls were all petrified as if a huge amount of heat melted them, making them look like glass, and they found bodies laying in the streets. That was their version of Babylon. Babylon in the Holy Bible says, the humans tried to build it and went so high, and God smelt them and changed all of their languages. Well, the Hopi have the same type of story, that when the Hopi survivors, including the Pohanas, the white people, when they came to North America, the Hopi chief, or the chief at that time, he asked the gods to change all of their languages because everyone was speaking the same language, just as in the Anunnaki here on Earth. So Marduk's, all the humans that were supporting Marduk had their languages changed. The Hopi says that the chief, at the time when they arrived here in North America, spoke to their god, Teowa, and asked that the languages that were in North America be split up, including the Pohanas, the white people. So you have 2 stories bridging the same thing. Here in North America, the Hopis got around during the 3rd Hopi World using flying shields. Over in India, they got around using Vimanas. The same thing. Flying saucers. So too much was put into religion and has been reduced from history.
It's certainly amazing, the possibilities, and if you can connect the dots, it's interesting because speaking with people like Dr. Heiser that comes out and says Nibiru, Planet X, Zachariah Sitchin is wrong, and then there's the complete other side of the story, you definitely have to use discernment. However, there's tens of thousands of people that are seeing things in the sky right now, these large anomalies that weren't there, 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Well, they weren't there in 2015.
So, I mean, there's very interesting. Is this just group hysteria? Is this the 100 monkey syndrome and we're all connected to the same Akashic records and seeing these anomalies that aren't really there? Or is there something
I don't honestly know. Here in North America and Canada, my friends down in South America have been complaining for years that we are under a mass disinformation program. And that was their term. That's why the news media and stuff will not talk about this stuff. Every once in a while, they talk about something in the skies, and suddenly it's all quiet.
But, Bob, have you noticed? Let me jump in here real quick, because I'm starting to wonder if this Nibiru Nemesis Planet X scenario, it really is
Planet
being pushed.
9.
It's being pushed right now, even in the mainstream news. There's an article coming out every single day on one of these mainstream outlets saying that they found Planet X or the possibility of Planet X. People from the University of Caltech. Yeah, you're right. They're saying it's 50 million trillion miles away and we're not going to have to worry about it. And they're trying to slowly bring it. However, with that said, and I'm not saying I don't believe in Planet X, but even if it is there and maybe it's going to cause some damage. Hopefully it won't be as bad as a lot of people think it is. Maybe the powers that be know this, and what they're doing is they're using Planet X as a wag the dog scenario, because what they're really trying to do is pass this global treaty that's going to cut down on, a lot of the pollutions and take away a lot of personal liberties and freedoms with people that live in these Western countries. And you know what I'm talking about. In Paris, when they had those Bataclan attacks, they were actually having that giant 160 plus treaty signing. And I'm not saying I don't believe in Nibiru, but I'm just wondering if the reason they're pushing this right now and making it so available not only on the internet and the alternative media is to kind of divert our attention from other scenarios. And I'm not taking away from the Nibiru phenomenon by saying that. I just wonder if they're using that right now for their agendas.
Well, there's several different theories that have been going down for years. There's a possibility that the United Nations will be in charge of the United States. The United States will no longer exist, and the United Nations will not allow anyone to have guns. Okay, that's another thing I've heard.
The Chinese would love that.
Oh, I know. There's all different kinds of things, different names for this. What's going on? Why did they build all the deep underground military bases back about 89, somewhere around then?
Well, they've been building them for 60, 70 years, ever since the possibility of nuclear war. Yeah.
No, not the deep underground military bases, my friend. These things go down 2,000 feet, okay?
Nice.
And they're built all around the planet.
Resident Evil style.
Okay, and also why they built the emergency seed vaults. The largest one is up in Colorado, because every time this thing, well, let me put it this way. We have gone through three accounts of Earth crustal displacement, which is the proper term for it, since 2900 BC under Chinese Emperor Yao. Anyone who's seen the movie 2012, near the end, you see the Chinese monk go up onto his monastery, and he's sitting there and he feels the wind behind him. He turns around and hears the oceans topping the high mountains of China, and just washes his monastery away as he's banging that huge gong. Okay, that was one time. Now, a lot of my friends disagree with me and say I'm lying when Noah's flood was the second time. Okay, Noah was called Zayasudra, another son of Enki. Very clear in the Zechariah Sitchin's books and through other historical accounts. Zayasudra lived for a very long time, like almost 1,000 years, just like Moses and all the other Bible type people before the great flood. Noah's flood.
Right. I've talked to people about that before. Like, why did people's lifespans in the Old Testament, 800 years, 700 years, then after this flood, and they've speculated that it might have something to do with the atmosphere and such, and the radiation that's brought in now after that. Let me change the subject here too, if I can.
Sure, go ahead.
The picture that we're looking at now, this looks like three dots there, basically.
Right.
So I'm sure the couple of them are, lens flare or something.
No, those are not lens flares. That image has been enhanced to show them very clearly. See, people are seeing these bluish black type things in our skies, and they're wondering, what the heck is going on here? That's because of the chemtrails. The chemtrails, or the aliens on Nibiru itself, are trying to hide these things in our skies. And what they're doing, as we're orbiting towards them, they're beginning to have a hard time doing it. So we're seeing all these different things in our skies. People are photographing them. Sometimes they're actually reversing the photograph, clearly showing these items in our skies. As I told you the last time, my contact, which is a Palladian, she keeps telling me that by June of this year, all these things are going to be very clear in our skies because we're putting white chemtrails in the skies, and some of the other countries are using black chemtrails.
Yeah, I've seen those. That's nasty stuff. Who knows what the
Well, the
compound
black
is?
chemtrails are mostly being used at
Gray
nighttime.
goo.
Yeah. And they're hiding this stuff in the skies so no one can see them at nighttime. Yes, this is a real nice one here. I forgot exactly where it's from, but you have our sunrise, and here's a big sun right there next to it.
Dude, that's the coolest Chinese lantern I've ever seen.
Exactly. There was I put a video on your Skype the other day from Indonesia when I didn't have a chance to take the pictures off it. I was really busy the last couple of days with stuff we here around the house. Two suns of the same size were seen rising in their skies. Now, we don't have two suns. One is a sun, the other is one of the 8 planets orbiting Nibiru that's being seen in our skies.
Now, folks, if you're a little bit skeptical on this, I call these things cosmic skittles because if you go to the all-sky cam, check out the one in Hawaii or Georgia, and what you are going to see are literally these different colored anomalies in the sky that, according to Ken Williams and others that I've spoken with, like yourself, Bob, were not there a year ago. And there's different colors. There's purple ones, there's blue ones, there's green ones, and there's the red
white
one.
one with a huge hole in it, which you have photographs of.
And we'll get to that here in just a moment, folks, because, I mean, yeah, this is, so check it out. You know, if you're a little bit skeptical, because I get a lot of comments that say, you know, Planet X is only real on YouTube. How come with millions of amateur astronomers, no one has seen this except for on YouTube? Well, guys, go check out Steve Olson's channel. Go check out StarshipsAroundTheSun.com. Bob's channel. Go check him out on Facebook. Robert H. Evans Jr. And friend him on Facebook. You'll see thousands and thousands of pictures taken from amateur astronomers all around the world that see these strange anomalies in the sky. So, you know, it's absolutely incredible, the disconnect there. And I recommend just checking it out for yourself. Please don't take our word for it. We're not saying the world's going to end. We're saying this all could very well be, you know, Chinese lanterns and swamp gas and reflections from Uranus. This isn't real, okay? If you don't want it to be, that's fine. Go on to the next. This isn't for everybody.
The world is not going to end. We're looking at a reset button. My contact says it will not be as bad as Noah's flood.
Well, and this is another thing that I think we need to discuss too, Bob. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, my friend.
No, go ahead.
You know, you do claim to have contacts like with a Pleiadian and such when you've been under hypnosis and they've been able to pull this information out. And you've brought this up several times before. And unfortunately for those that are already closed-minded, and you bring up a possibility of a secondary sun and binary system that's going to get close to our planet and hit this reset button, they're already skeptical and standoffish. And then when you bring up you've made contact possibly with a Pleiadian or an outer worldly entity telepathically.
And it makes me sound really weird. I understand.
Well, more than that, it's not necessarily that. I mean, I think it's great. You know, I think everybody has their own opinions and beliefs, and if we all thought the same, it would be like the Borg, and it would be an absolutely terrible life. So there's some things out there we can't see with our eyes. We only see 0.01% of the electromagnetic light spectrum anyway, and our brain filters out at least 50% of that. So we can't see most of what's around us anyway. And science rewrites itself every single day. So to be completely closed-minded and think we're the only ones here in the entire universe, well, hey, that's your choice. That's your prerogative. But whatever the case is, I mean, this is some pretty tangible stuff right here that we're looking at. And unless this is all photoshopped or, you know, some type of disinformation, and I once again, I definitely do see some pretty cool anomalies there. I'm skeptical with a lot of them, Bob, but there are certain gems out there that you bring to the show that I say, wow, I've got to do another take on that. What picture are we looking at right now?
This is at nighttime, and there's our moon, and there's something else in our skies. We don't have two moons. We only have one nice white moon with all the stuff we've seen from the Apollo program. anyone looking at the moon, which is, right in our sky, is relatively close. You can see all the craters all over it. But this is two things in our skies, which is throwing a lot of people off. Why do we have this?
Looks like the high desert.
Some of my friends do not tell me because they're taking off a web camera. And if they mention the web camera is now turned off. Or it's changed, it's turned to a different position where it can't see the same things over and over. Next one down, you're just pointing there. That one, let's see, the red Kachina right there above, that's been seen very clearly since 2015 over Europe. That was on, you can see the date right there. You see the date and the time, temperature and everything. That thing, that red thing, goes down through ancient history, Holy Bible, everything. Whether it causes the problem or it and the others, like in alignment, going back towards Nibiru, causes the problem, I can't say. We're going to find out, unfortunately, over time. And time is growing short. These things are growing larger and larger in our skies.
Bob, what is this looking? I can see this strange tunnel vortex thing. Is that just a light anomaly from all the chemtrail spray and the fog, or?
I honestly can't tell you. I don't know.
Can you see it? It's probably
yes,
just a light
I do see it.
reflection.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's go to that. That is huge, folks. I mean, if that is not an anomaly as far as being some type of lens flare, camera anomaly, then that thing is just huge.
I have too many images since 2015, all showing the same thing over and over and over. So it's not. This is from Sharon on April 23rd. You can see a nice kind of greenish looking something in our skies. She's back in Illinois, and she has a real good camera. And she's out there almost every day, as are a lot of my other friends on Facebook, and they're all taking photographs of this stuff. And they're just bouncing one after the other because exactly what the other ones are seeing over and over and over again. And I'll tell you, if I was posting photographs that had been photoshopped and people saw them, they would hang me out to dry. So I know I'm not posting anything that's been photoshopped.
Now, this one's like an infrared that
yes.
Sharon took?
Yes. So it's actually saying that this is something that she's seeing in her skies that was there. Because in infrared, in the infrared band, if it's not there, it's not there. That's clearly showing something very large in her skies that was showing up as whatever. A lot of my friends, they have nice photographs. This is an interesting thing. NASA's SOHO satellite has been picking this thing up in our skies since 1999. This thing is almost the size of Jupiter.
There it is. And look at that, guys. I've seen this specific. It looks like it just shot across.
And that's exactly what the photographs are showing. I sent you many photographs because it was recently just caught again. We've seen this thing go racing around our sun, makes a tight turn like you're seeing right there. That thing is under alien control. Okay, I'm sorry. To make a tight turn like that, and the photographs are clearly seeing it.
Space ducks.
Exactly. Someone's controlling that thing, and that thing is huge. And NASA has seen it many times, but no one's talking about it. It comes racing through our system. Now, several people on Facebook think that is Nibiru. Sorry. Although...
That's like the mothership.
I don't know what that thing is. Okay? You can see that big round hole in it.
Oh, yeah.
See that big round hole?
The eye of the tiger.
Looks just like the white moon we've been seeing in our skies recently. It also has a huge hole in it.
Hey, this is the Death Star.
Don't push that, but yeah.
The Death Star comes back.
Well, one of the photographs from 2006 showed something that looked just like an Imperial Star Destroyer.
Wow.
Believe me or not, it does show. You don't have the photograph. Here it is, comes zooming and making a right turn. You know, only something that's under intelligent control can do that. That wouldn't be just a normal moon or something. That thing's the size of Jupiter. And it comes racing through our solar system.
Maybe these are the Archons.
I hope not. You know, Star Trek, the original series had the return of the Archons then too.
Oh yeah, they're pretty frightening if you read about them in the old Nagamati treaties. The powers and abilities that they have was incredible. And
Yeah.
you know, so I'm going to go to the next
Go
picture
ahead.
here, and this one. What are we looking at here, Bob?
That's that same thing, but it had come to a complete stop and was being filmed by the SOHO satellite. So there it is, 2004. I only gave you a handful of the images I have. I had to go through them quickly to make sure I can get them to you. So I have no idea what that thing is. It has been seen from 1999 to 2016. Okay? And you have the images. 2005, it comes racing through, left turn, right turn, zoom, right back out. That's our sun right there in the middle. That there's a rod that comes in on the right-hand side. It holds a disc right over the sun, so you can't see the sun itself. You can only see what comes off the sun. So that thing is racing through our system at incredible speeds.
That's like Silver Surfer style right there, Bob. That's awesome. Look at that.
Or warp drive being caught. Faster than light technology is proper term for it. And there it is again.
The cosmic
Pac-Man. Racing
in,
and then it turns around, goes right back out. But you see that big hole in it? Right there, right there. That looks just like the white moon that's being seen in our skies right now. Are they the same object? I don't know. But they have that big hole in them.
Bob, what is this thing? This like giant, this line that shoots out.
That's all the SOHO satellite cameras have that the camera has that thing on that stick going out, holding that round circle right out there in front, and they adjust the camera back and forth until they can just see the coronal stuff coming off the sun and not the sun itself.
Okay. Wow, that's fascinating. Now, this is a black and white image. See, once again, we've got the cosmic Pac-Man over here.
Yes. That's from 2016. So 1999 to 2016, it's still being seen. And you can see in the upper left-hand picture, you can see the arm a lot more clearer right there. That black arm with the black dot right in the center. See, these things being picked up by the European satellites too. I think it's Hello Viewer. And they don't have the problems that people use in talking about the things being talked about on SOHO or stereo ahead, stereo behind, or the U.S. Navy's SETI photograph cameras, which are on stereo ahead, stereo behind. All these cameras have been picking up all kinds of neat stuff since 1998.
This is fascinating, Bob. I mean, just look at this stuff. These are some incredible photographs here. We're going to go to this one now. It looks like it's from the 20s. This is very recent.
That one's from SOHO.
Wow.
It's the same thing that comes racing through our solar system, and no one is talking about it. This is some of the photographs that I've been collecting over the years. Ever since I started doing research on Nibiru, I had to dig into every aspect of the Anunnaki and Nibiru, and it's taken me from Canada with the ex-Canadian Defense Minister, which went talking about stuff him and his friends knew, all the way down to the Hopis and everything else. There's that same thing making that huge turn. And that thing is huge. It's almost the size, if not the size of Jupiter, racing through our solar system.
You know what that looks like? That looks very similar to the pendant on the staff of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It does. It looks just like it. And it also looks very similar to the symbol that's used in SG-1 and Stargate, the series, as well as the movie. There's that circular thing in the center there. I'm telling you, man, that's fascinating.
You got me too. That's why I've been taking all these photographs over the years. Different people they zoomed in on and enlarged them up. They thought that was Nemesis. Well, it's not Nemesis. Nemesis doesn't come racing through our solar system like that. That thing is right there.
So what are we looking at here?
This is a combination of photographs that one of my friends took, putting them all together in a collage type thing. The second row, left-hand corner, you can see that arm that's out in front of each one of the cameras, and that arm covers the sun. And there's that same thing right below it. That's the HeliViewer, yes, heliviewer.org. That's the European version of the SOHO satellite. The HeliViewer actually shows a lot more stuff, where the SOHO sometimes erases them. See, it still has that hole right there in the front. Right there. So, it's not just, well, that thing right there, the SETI group says that's Nibiru. Well, that's one of their starships. That right there in that box, that starship was seen by the Zoroastrian religion in what's now called Iran, and they called it the Ahura Mazda. And they had huge carvings on the walls showing Enki standing right in front of it. And we're still seeing the Ahura Mazda coming into our system almost on a daily basis. Are they coming here for our Chinese food, Russian food?
No, they're coming here for the Chinese and the Russians. That is their food. We eat too many genetically modified, too much junk out here in America overall. Not myself personally. Maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't want to get eaten by these guys. But, they want to get something a little bit fresher, so they tend to go towards places where they don't eat McDonald's every day.
No, they're probably going to Walmart. That's why all the Walmarts are closing in the southern states. They're closing 150 Walmart stores, and the Walmart stores are putting up huge amounts of surveillance cameras, which, are looking at anyone who drives into their parking lots, and they have security, which are getting the people out of the parking lots for a closed store. I don't know about that.
They're just doing plumbing, man.
Yeah, exactly. They're changing all the plumbing. Exactly.
That's it. Now, this is a credible picture right here. This looks like a spaceship going into warp drive, basically.
Now, that one I've seen before. I was not sure what it was, and I'm still not sure what it was. Whether it's a starship just turning on its warp drive, getting out, or whether it's something else, I don't know. That there is, I think that's one of the stars.
Okay. All right, let's go down here to this one.
Now, this one was seen by SOHO from the EIT 304 extreme ultraviolet, if I remember correctly, camera. It saw something to the left of our sun firing a beam right through the corner of our sun. Now, I have a friend at NASA. I haven't talked to him for a long time. He used to talk to me and my wife, and we would send things to him, and he would enlarge stuff up far greater than any of us could using Photoshop or whatever. This one ship was firing a beam, and he took this entire image apart. He put it through different filters. The next one down, the greenish looking one right there. There's the ship caught next to our sun, and it has 3 layers of shielding, like Star Trek, and you can clearly see them if you can enlarge that image up a little bit there. Because you can see the shields as those dots going around the ship. And that red dot right in the middle of the ship, you can see it right there. That's where the crew were living. He took the photograph apart down far further than any of us could ever do using NASA's technology. That ship is huge. And it's totally protected from our sun by the shields being seen in that photograph. There's the shields again. Big circle. It's firing that beam. What it was doing, I have no idea. There's our sun. It's a different filter used to take the whole thing apart.
Now, let's just be real skeptical here for a minute and say, well, there's just no way this could possibly be real. You know, what is the actual percentage or statistic-wise to make something like this an anomaly in these photographs where you can see this just straight line that goes directly to the sun?
It was a power beam.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool, Bob. I got to tell you, with all the shows that we've done.
My friend at NASA, when he first saw these things, he didn't know what to think of them. And there's the ship enlarged again, showing the shields all the way around it. At first, he thought, just like everyone else, these are all bogus images being seen by SOHO's satellites, cameras. He took them apart and he said, no, they're not. And he took the images apart completely, and he took them all the way down. They're not fakes. They're real, or they were real. This is from 2003.
Look at this ginormous solar flare that's just wow. And then you can see this ship just right outside of it and this beam that goes directly to the sun.
Exactly. He took this photograph, he took this ship all the way down to its heat signature. He told me and my wife that he was going to show us exactly where the crew was living. And that shows it right there. The rest of the ship was the same color, was the same temperature as the sun, but those were the cooler areas. Those were the areas where the crew were living inside it. You try and use Photoshop to do that. I'm sorry. Next one down takes even further. He took it down to its heat signatures. The green areas are the cool areas, and the hot areas are the hull of the ship being red hot as the sun, but the green areas where the crew was living. And there you go, 2003, 14, 19, 19 in the morning or at night. This is all from my friend from NASA. I hope he's still doing it. I've never mentioned his name. I never knew his name. He only said he worked down here at Moffett Field in California. Well, Moffett Field is right across. He said he worked across from Moffett Field. That's where NASA is.
Look at that one. That's a cool picture right there. The winged serpent.
He took these photographs apart. He even did the same thing with Elenin, which no one knew what it looked like, because NASA never officially showed any photographs of Elenin. And that's the next one down, the snap photo from 2011. See, the interesting thing was with Elenin was that no one was paying attention, including my friend at NASA, until the Russians said Elenin was in direct communications with a Jupiter-sized planet which was incoming. Then he started enlarging the photographs further and further. Then the Chinese put out an article saying that spaceships were piggybacked to Elenin. Now there's Elenin as it was coming in and had two things, port and starboard. And he put arrows next to them, saying, "There they are." Now,
are you in your clubhouse right now, Bob?
Yes, it's the only place I can use the Wi-Fi, and unfortunately, they're doing a little bit of cleaning just outside.
Okay.
The image back there, right there. He enlarged the photograph up, and if you can take your little arrow, okay, right there in front, that little round circle, that was the comet. And that thing right behind it with the arrow pointing to it was all the huge things that the Chinese were saying were spaceships, which were piggybacked. Look at that electromagnetic signature. That's all around Elenin.
That's cool.
This blew my friend at NASA away. He had never seen an electromagnetic signature like that. That's why he enlarged it up that far. Then he took it even further and went further on in. That was a bigger one. See, only the amateur astronomers were photographing Elenin as it was coming in. That's got the guy's name on it. One of the astronomers that took the best photographs I saw.
There's the cosmic Pac-Man again right there.
Mm-hmm.
At least it looks like it, that red dot.
I don't see the smile on it going dum 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 dum.
Yeah. Get the power pellets.
Yeah.
That's an interesting picture. So I guess it looks like we've got one more left here. Let's pull this one up.
Another one that's from the same guy. And you can see the bluish red thing up there in the right-hand corner. And then the bottom red one. So only the amateur astronomers were putting all their photographs up on the internet. Nothing from NASA, at least that I ever saw.
That's interesting stuff. I got to tell you, Bob, this is, probably, if I look back at all the shows that we've done, this has been my favorite. I think that the information that you brought to the table today is incredible.
I have over 3,000 images that were caught from the Soho stereo head, stereo behind Setchi, U.S. Navy's photographs cameras, which they deleted every image that looked weird, but my friends were catching and were passing them on to me. This is what NASA, the powers that be, have been keeping away from everyone. And they've been saying, this is all garbage photographs. We should never have been paying attention to this. I can't mention the other name, or maybe I should. FEMA. FEMA has been saying for years, and even on Facebook, that this is all garbage. That these are all faked images. They're all images that were from cosmic spurts at the cameras, cosmic this, cosmic that. NASA has a little-known web page which goes into all the cameras on. There's about, I think, 14 cameras on Soho. And they said they started correcting all of the bad images that were hit by cosmic this, cosmic that. And I looked at the cosmic images that were being hit by cosmic rays or whatever, and you couldn't see anything in them because they were just full of dots where you could not see a clear image. Well, you're seeing a very clear image right there. No cosmic rays, no cosmic this, no cosmic that to ruin the image. And I had to unfriend all the high-ranking people. So I went to friend all the high-ranking people that I thought they would help me, saying, Bob, you're seeing good stuff here. But they kept saying I was faking all the images. It was all this, it was all that. Now, either they didn't know what they were talking about, or someone was putting their fingers on them, telling them not to talk about it. Because those images are all nice and clear. No cosmic interference at all. Even the one from 2003 with the thing next to our sun. I think the powers that be have put their finger on a lot of people for a long time to not talk about this. And for a good reason. You don't want everyone to panic. I don't want everyone to panic. But I want everyone to be prepared for when this thing does whatever it's going to do. My cosmic contact has been telling me to make everyone be prepared, because only the prepared will have the fighting chance. All the survivors are going to be going into FEMA camps. FEMA camps are all clear across the United States, up into Alaska, and a couple of them have been said they're up in Canada, for I don't know. We started buying up massive amounts of ammunition, I think about 2010, 2011, every U.S. government agency.
Hey, let me jump in real quick with that ammunition that they bought. Do you remember the cardboard cutouts that were purchased by the boatload that had pictures of like grandma pointing a gun at them? They had pictures of little kids with guns, and it was to basically desensitize people that were going to have to go after individuals and do these roundups, I think.
And there was also that the United States was bringing in Cubans, Russians, Chinese, and they were teaching them to do law enforcement here in the United States.
Right.
And they were being brought in here because when things do go bad, no United States police officer or National Guard or military will ever point a gun at a U.S. citizen, but they will.
Well, you could take that last statement back. Think all the, I know what you mean by what you're saying. I mean, most good people in the military aren't going to go, rounding people up and shoot them in the head if they don't give up their guns and take a microchip. A lot of people think that's going to be a possible scenario, but look at all the brutality that goes on out here today anyway. I mean, there's plenty of.
When the sheet hits the fan and something happens, you're going to have rioting on a scale you've never seen all around the planet. The Georgia Guidestones make it very clear never to let the population go above 500 million again. That's a very quick depopulation of the entire planet. Now, what do you think a pole shift, whether it's Noah's flood or not, will do around the planet? I mean, the oceans will slap into every coastline. Okay, don't believe what I'm saying. Pope John Paul II, back in 1980, the third secret of Fatima, he said that the third secret of Fatima had not been released by the other popes before him because they didn't want the communists to start taking land and coups all around the planet. But he said, what if it was in writing that the oceans would cover every continent, killing millions within minutes? Why talk about it? This was kept very quiet over in Italy. It's up on the internet. Anyone has to look for it. Pope John Paul II and the third secret of Fatima. There was a reporter there, and he brought it all down, and I've been showing it to many people on Facebook, saying, don't listen to me. Here's John Paul II warning about this. The Vatican has known about this since 1954. And all of the other countries have known about it ever since. Okay? They don't want rioting. They don't want murders, rapists, and everything going on. They're going to be very quiet about this. Just like in one of the movies, Independence Day. When the alien ships were showing up, the president didn't want everyone to panic and hit the roads. Okay, cool. But then when he found out that the aliens were shot down the 3 helicopters, which were just outside of it, he told everyone to evacuate. And what happened? Everyone was piled up on every freeway. Okay? More people would die then than if they'd given if they gave no warning at all, and were just suddenly swept away by whatever is going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. My contact says these things will be very clear in our skies by June of this year. Everyone's going to be seeing them. People are going to start panicking.
Well, Bob, that's the beauty of what we've brought to the table today, and all the other shows that we've done is if this does take place and if it's going to get nasty, people have an option to get ready now, or they can just ride out the storm when it gets there. You know, I got to tell you though, if it gets to the point to where nuclear reactors are blowing up and radioactive isotopes are flying all over the world and food becomes spoiled, and I mean, maybe it would be better to be by the coast and just go out in a blaze of glory, man, instead of having to, look at the movie The Road. Remember that movie?
A lot of my friends have said the same thing. Back during the 70s, they were saying if they knew a nuclear attack was coming here in San Francisco, they would sit on top of a propane tank or a gas tank and over and done with it. Okay? That way they're not survivors with all the problems afterwards. See, my opinion is that all the FEMA camp people, and I've heard this from so many nightmares and visions since 2010, since before Obama became president, the survivors are going to be forced to repair everything. They're not going to be paid living wages. They're not going to be paid high wages. They're going to be paid slave wages. That's why we have all the FEMA camps. That's why people in the South have seen the huge Carmax train cars, which are made up as prisons. They've seen those all over the South on railroad lines all by themselves with shackles inside. Why do you do stuff like that? Okay? It's to have a working population to repair things. And we thought the Nazis were bad. That's what everything's pointing towards. I'm sorry.
Project Paperclip. I'm sure everybody's heard about that that's listened to this show. You guys can research it if you haven't. Bob, I got to tell you, it's always great to have you on the show. Let's do this again soon. Hopefully we'll be able to bring some more information to the table next week or a couple weeks from now. And folks, make sure to check out Bob's website, www.starshipsaroundthesun.com. Also, check out Robert on Facebook if you'd like to collaborate with him or send him some information. Robert H. Evans Jr. on Facebook. Also, Bob, before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us?
I just want people to prepare as if they're going on a 6-month backpacking trip. Pack essentials only. If that is in your car or in your house and stuff starts to happen, you'll be able to get out and get to a safe area as soon as you can.
Right on. Well, Bob, it was great to have you on the show. Be safe.
Thank you.
You are very welcome, my friend, and thank you for coming on here. It's always great to speak with you. Folks, thanks for joining us here at the Leak Project. Make sure